Hi, we got disconnected by Zoom. Now, hopefully, we are back. Unfortunately, I will not, I'll have to call Benji by WhatsApp, by audio, and you won't see his beautiful punim on video, but I have some photos queued up of Benji. It's very disappointing. I know Benji had an outfit, a special outfit prepared. I'm terribly sorry about that. Maybe Zoom is a little bit overloaded after all the Pesach Seders last night. But yeah, we tried it out, we tested it out, and unfortunately, going through Zoom to Facebook is not a very stable connection, at least in this case, and we got disconnected. So we'll have to show you some separate photos of Benji. So like many of you, I was talking about our Zoom Seder last night. We had a really lovely, lovely Seder. People, we did it pretty quickly. I thought that people wouldn't join after the meal, so let's do the whole Seder before the meal, cheating a little bit, which we did. But then, of course, almost everybody stayed on the Zoom call for another hour or so. So maybe I was a little bit off, and we could have actually had the meal and a break. But it was nice to do it that way. As I said before, nobody ever in the history of Seder said, "Oh my God, that Seder was too short." So we had a nice short Seder, and then we all continued schmoozing for a while. We had not only from our local community in Poland, we had guests from New York, Haley and Emmy and Vicky, the Warner girls. We had guests from Sarajevo, from London, from Cambridge, from all over Poland. So it was really a beautiful Seder. And I was a little skeptical, not sure how it was going to go. I guess as many of us were, but it went incredibly well. So it was really nice to be able to do that. And tell you what, sitting there with seeing all these faces and people in their home, for me, it was really a moment that you understand what community means. And maybe sometimes takes things like this for us to really appreciate what there is. But everybody kind of zooming in and sharing that way is something that made me appreciate really what we have. In terms of the situation in Poland, today some new Polish regulations were passed. Schools are closed until April 26th. The borders continue to be closed until May 3rd. Mass events, any large gatherings are still, until further notice, are canceled. And we have at this point 5,341 cases overall and 164 deaths. So I think we're seeing by the numbers that although the coronavirus continues to grow in Poland, continue to affect more people, the numbers are not as high as they might have been had the government not moved quickly to close the borders, to close schools, to stop public meetings, things like that. Also, I think as of today, we have to wear masks, which is, I think, also a good thing. So that's where we are. The JCC, of course, continues to be closed, but people working from home, our logistics teams, the guys who set everything up, were driving around for the last couple of days and delivering packages to everybody, as I mentioned earlier in our previous Facebook Live 5 minutes ago. Ava Rogala, hello, where is Kasha? Kasha is here. Hi, Kasha. Still here.
Hi.
Don't worry. Kasha, don't. Where would she go? None of us really have anywhere to go, so Kasha is here. If you have any questions besides for me, you can address them also to Kasha. So I'm going to start with a few questions that we had this year. What was the JCC Seder like? I think I already answered that one. Are you keeping Pesach? Yes, so far I'm keeping Pesach. I'm about, 18 hours in and have not been to the bakery, have not eaten anything yet. Not eating any chametz yet, so managing to do okay with that. How is Pani Zosha? I spoke to Pani Zosha yesterday. Pani Zosha is doing very, very well. We speak a lot. As I mentioned before, I think what's very an important thing that we're doing here, and really something that makes me feel better about this whole situation of not seeing everybody, is that we're calling all our seniors. So every 2 days, everybody gets a call at least every 2 days. So 3 or 4 times a week, all of our seniors and survivors get a call and see how they're doing. Pani Zosha doing very, very well. Of course, like the rest of us, going a little bit crazy, cooped up, but her spirits are high. She says she misses everybody, and she wants me to, of course, send her love. Another question: should Joe Exotic be pardoned? Yes. President Trump, who, as if any of you saw my previous Facebook post, has much in common with Joe Exotic. Unfortunately, what they don't have in common is that one of them is imprisoned, the other one is not. But should Joe Exotic be pardoned? It's a tough call. I do not think he should be pardoned. The other Joe that was pardoned by President Trump, of course, Sheriff Joe, the somewhat fascist, horrible sheriff in Arizona. I think it's Maricopa County. It was Sheriff, but I don't think Joe Exotic should be pardoned. But now we're off. I think Tiger King was very much last week. Now I moved on, as many of you also did. I watched, Kasha and I watched Unorthodox. Kasha, you want to come join me for this one? Your take on Unorthodox. We were a little bit, Kasha, what do you think? Disappointed a little?
No, yeah. It was like a little bit, I don't know, boring.
A little bit boring, says Kasha. Kasha bored by most things, but I don't think Unorthodox was so bad. I just think that personally, I can't speak for Kasha, I had very high expectations. A lot of people were talking about it. Unorthodox. Have you seen Unorthodox? So I thought it was really supposed to be something absolutely super fantastic. And we watched it, and I thought it was okay. It was fine. Some good performances, but I didn't think it was something
short. Yeah, it was like, for me, it was like too short.
Too short, like our Seder last night. Too short. No, Unorthodox was maybe a little too short, but we thought it was good. Good, but not good. And we wanted it to be better. We're now watching Ozark. That's our latest thing. We watched the first 2 seasons. I think we're on season 3. Ozark, lots of good stuff. Has a sort of white trash aspect, which we grew to love with Tiger King. Lots of devious behavior, sneaky stuff, casinos. So a lot of good ingredients. Jeff Rolat from California saying he also expected more from Unorthodox. Yes, as many of us did. There we go. Next thing. Question come in. Why is The Godfather my favorite movie? I don't know if that's a valid question. I think the question is, how is The Godfather not everyone's favorite movie? Such a wonderful, amazing film, but I am somewhat obsessed with The Godfather, as some people around me know. One of the things I'm obsessed with, along with Street Signs, The Godfather. Of course, when I say The Godfather, it means Godfather 1 and 2. I don't really treat the third Godfather as really part of the canon. Made it later because he was, bankrupt. Coppola had to make it, but I'm a huge, huge Godfather 1 and 2 fan. But why is it my favorite movie? Because I think it's clearly almost everything you need to find, all the wisdom of the world. If you have a question about anything, I think the answer, some people look to the Torah. Some people our Christian friends look to the New Testament as well as the Old Testament. Our Muslim friends look to the Quran, and me and many of my friends look to The Godfather. So if you have a question about what to do, what's proper, how to behave, very often that information can be found in The Godfather. Here's a good question from Rich Rosenthal. Is there a holy grail of street signs? We talked a little bit about my street sign obsession. Is there a holy grail? It's a very good question. I think some of the highway signs in the U.S. are pretty cool. People have, Route 66, things like that. Some of the big highway signs. But I would say those, like an American big highway, American street sign would be cool. Jeffrey says Ozark will hold us for a week until Fauda. Absolutely. I think April 16th, Fauda is coming. Kasha and I.
Yeah, we love Fauda.
Very big Fauda fans. So we're April 16th. Actually, it's out, but April 16th with subtitles. Not all of us speak Hebrew.
I understand Hebrew.
Although some of us have taken years of Hebrew classes.
Yes, I understand.
Like Kasha. But we'll wait. Fauda will be out on Netflix with English subtitles, which is, of course, very exciting.
Maybe Polish.
I'm sorry, Polish subtitles? I don't think so with Polish subtitles.
I don't think so.
We're not sure. At least with English, possibly with Polish subtitles. Now, I mentioned that we have a very special guest besides the amazing Kasha, our special guest who was supposed to join us by video, but who I'm going to call right now, is funny man Benji Lovitt. I will show you his photo. Here's a photo of Benji. Another Benji Lovitt photo. One more Benji Lovitt photo. Benji Lovitt has become a very good friend of the JCC. Very funny comedian, a good friend of mine, and we're going to call him now and see how he is doing. Benji Lovitt, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Benji, are you there?
I am here. How you doing? I love these photos, although I missed the last 30 seconds of you.
Yeah, got a little complicated there with the Zoom. Sorry about that, Benji. How are you today, Benji Lovitt?
No worries. I'm good. Chag Sameach to you and Kasha.
Chag Sameach to you. Kasha says, Kasha.
Chag Sameach, Benji.
Kasha runs over to the camera to say Chag Sameach, although you're on the phone. But okay, we're all figuring out the complications. Oh, we have Benji. We have a little shout out for your mom. Toby Leibowitz says she loves your mom. No, of course, nobody said so far that they love you, Benji, but we have one love for your mom, which is good.
That's because of the 30-second delay.
Exactly. Here they come.
Toby, I'll pass it on to my mom.
Here come all the lovely comments for you. So Benji, tell us, where are you right now?
I am in my apartment in Jaffa, Tel Aviv, and I am on lockdown like everybody else, but doing quite well, not suffering.
And Benji, based on your accent and the fact that I know the answer, you don't sound Israeli to me, yet you're living in Jaffa. How long have you been there?
I've been here I'm in Israel for 13 and a half years, and as you can hear from my voice, I am from Dallas, Texas, but my parents are New Yorkers. But I can talk like this if you prefer.
So you grew up in Dallas.
I did. That's a long time ago.
Now, the question I think everyone is dying to know, how much of a disappointment to your parents is it that you've become a comedian instead of like a respected profession like lawyer, doctor, business person, JCC director?
The JCC director really should have been first on the list, but I think if you're the last child, by that point they sort of give up. And as I've learned, I'm not a parent, but it seems to be that your parents just want you to be happy. So after I moved to Atlanta, at first they thought I was crazy. Then I moved to New York. They didn't understand what I was doing. So by the time I got to Israel, I think they sort of figured out that I marched to the beat of a different drummer. So they're very happy.
We'll have next week's guest, ladies and gentlemen, Benji Lovitt's parents. We will corroborate. See how happy.
I know how to use Zoom now. I just taught them.
We will see how happy they really are. But Benji, so tell me now. This is always the thing when little kids are like wise asses, as some of us were. I definitely was, causing trouble and stuff. Your teacher when you're in like fourth grade, they're like, "Oh, wise guy, what are you going to grow up and be a comedian?" And was this the situation? How did you become a comedian, Benji Lovitt?
I wanted to grow up and be a JCC director, but I was a failure. Well, when Israelis ask me what I do for a living, I often say comedian, but when people from our world ask, I say, I create conversations about Jewish identity through humor and things like that. So, I'm I guess a Jew first, a comedian second, so it just sort of evolved. I grew up in my Jewish youth movement, summer camp, a lot of leadership stuff and facilitation. And when I got here, I started a blog. The day I got here, hey kids, these were in the old days, before tweets and stuff like that. I had a blog about all my comedic experiences in Israel, and it really took off. And though I did stand up as a hobby in America, I only got serious once I moved here. And, I sort of put together my creative side and my Jewish education side, and here we are. And thanks to that combination, I got to perform at the Jewish Arts and Culture Festival in Krakow, and I will be back.
Wow, a Schwarzeneggerian promise of Benji to be back. So 13 and a half years in Israel, Benji. How's your Hebrew?
It's a big portion of my stand-up show is devoted to my lack of fluent Hebrew, but it's safe to say it's not so easy to learn language as an adult. When I first got here, I was like, I'm not going to be one of those Americans who only hangs out with them. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am. So, we watch, you're talking about Netflix. It's the times we live in, it's very easy to immerse yourself in English. So, I'm not watching old episodes of Zeus when I'm in quarantine. I'm rewatching Seinfeld. So, thanks to the internet and my ability to have a career in English, it's just not as easy as it used to be. But my Polish is coming along just great.
Do you have a favorite Polish word that you'd like to share with us, Benji?
Oh, so many. There's cześć, there's dziękuję, there's that very important one, jakie twardos, hard-boiled egg. That's an important one for Passover.
That is an important.
That's my favorite, but can I say my favorite on this? Is this a family show?
I think you're okay, Benji.
Well, you're more than okay. You are truly zajebiste.
Oh.
How is that?
Benji said it, zajebiste. Zajebiste, which of course for the Poles watching know what it means. For the Americans and others watching, it means fucking great.
Oh my God.
There, you've had it. You said it, Benji. Or I said it.
Just switch back to the Facebook so I can see the F word. I can read your lips.
Thank you for that. So 13 and a half years, your Hebrew, you said, is a source of comedy. What as an American living in Israel, kind of immersed in the expat or in the expat world, what's the most difficult for you living in Israel?
It's one of those questions where I've lived here so long. You know the phrase "a fish doesn't know what's in water." Yeah, that's all it knows. I've been here so long that it's hard to sort of.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that phrase. But go ahead, Benji.
It's a good phrase. So, I did a Q&A last week after an online comedy show, and the rabbi interviewing me asked for a funny experience at the grocery store. I'm like, I don't even think about that stuff anymore. I would say, probably language. Not being fully immersed, the funny thing is, it's also hard to separate, the being an immigrant with the being a self-employed comedian. So those are two challenging things, and they're all wrapped up together. But probably I'll pass on that one.
Thank you. Well,
a long rambling answer. I don't know if I answered it.
That's what we like. We always like when we have guests and they don't answer the question. Thank you for that, Benji. And Israelis, do they get stand up? Is there a stand up scene? If so, is it an English language? Is there Hebrew stand up?
So stand up is really taking off. I mean, it started here a couple of decades after in America, but again, thanks to globalization and Netflix. I mean, in the last couple of years, we've had Jim Jeffries, Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Louis C.K. Yes, he did perform here. So especially in Tel Aviv, there's just an unbelievable scene, and Israelis want to see stand-up, and Israelis want to perform stand-up. Their dream is all to go to America, because stand-up started in English. So they think that's the romantic language to perform in. They think it sounds better in English. So there's actually an amazing scene here in Tel Aviv. You could go on almost every night in English.
Wow. And Benji, my research tells me that you're single. Is that true?
It is.
And how's the dating scene for Benji Lovitt in Israel?
Oh, let me tell you. Well, quarantined, it's really everybody's showing a gig these days. So I don't know how it is in Krakow, but big city dating is not so much fun. I know people complain a lot in New York. I'm sure it's the same in London. So it is not fun. The world of apps and big city fever where everybody is scarred, or let's say half the population is scarred and half are not looking for anything serious. And yes, can you hear the excitement in my voice?
Half the population scarred. Is that?
I would say so. Yeah, people in Tel Aviv. A lot of people can't stand the dating scene, but I think they're also lack self-awareness, and they also perpetuate a lot of the behaviors that they themselves do not like.
And when you do, I'm assuming that you have been on dates in 13 and a half years. Benji?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good. And when you've gone on said dates, have they generally been with other expats or Israelis?
Let's say definitely more often expats or Israelis with an international connection. People who've been in shlichut, people who've been emissaries abroad, people whose parents are immigrants, people who sort of have experience with non-Israeli values. But we all know that the best women are Polish.
We do know that the best women are Polish, and the best men as well. Why not? As a Polish citizen, I feel I can say that now. And what are you looking? What's on? What once quarantine ends for all of us, Benji? Where are you going? What do your plans look like? Do you travel a lot for work? Do you go and go and do your thing across the world outside of Israel?
I travel a lot. This past year, I was abroad 6 times, which is pretty crazy. But I was actually in the States. So I'm watching Facebook on mute, and Kasha just leaned over. So I think we're on about a minute delay. I think that was the compliment. But I was in the States until this whole thing erupted. I was supposed to be on a 2-week tour, and with your input, I decided to cut it short. But God willing, this will pass soon, and I'll be back in the States. I usually go to North America about 4 or 5 times a year to do shows for federations, JCC synagogues, and bring joy to people during times when it's hard to laugh.
I was just showing Benji your photos, which strangely happened. You happen to be wearing all these photos that I was showing, different photos. You're wearing a JCC T-shirt. Can you tell us about your obsession with JCC T-shirts?
You mean everyone feel that way about them?
We here in Krakow do, and many people do, but not everybody. I have to say, not everyone in the world is as obsessed with JCC T-shirts as you are.
Well, everyone. Okay, now I'm being serious, and I can talk about this a long time. And you know how I feel. I always say that everyone should visit Israel. Every Jew should, if possible, spend a year here. And after my first life-changing trip to Poland about 3 years ago, my first of 2 trips. I feel very lucky, and I never thought about Poland for 5 minutes before that trip. I wish that every Jew would get to visit Poland and visit experience our history. But I had such a great time there that I wanted a shirt, and once I had one, I couldn't get enough. I have 3. I'm wearing them all right now. It's too bad that people can't see a photo, but like to spread the JCC Krakow love to the world.
And is it true that you're in the delicate negotiations, your management and the management of the JCC, about some type of sponsorship deal?
I cannot confirm or deny, but yes, there are hot rumors burning up the internet. It's exciting stuff.
Uh-huh. And what's your take? How's it looking in Israel in terms of quarantine? When do you think you'll be able to go out and sort of resume normal life? How's that looking there for you?
It's hard to say because I haven't even seen the outside in 1 week, but I'm prepared for months. I think it's not going to happen overnight. I think they may increase the percentage of people who are allowed to go to work.
Would that be essential? Excuse me. Would that be essential workers? Would a comedian be considered essential?
I hope not, but I don't know if this matters or not. But like Donald Trump was saying, he wanted to get people back around Easter, which obviously is not happening. We have in a few weeks Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaTzmaut, Holocaust Remembrance Day, Day of Remembrance for Fallen Soldiers, and Independence Day. And I don't think the government is going to make any decisions with any considerations but health. But I don't know. It sure would be nice if something changed by then. Although I'm prepared to be inside for at least another month or 2.
In the bunker.
Yeah.
And is Abu Lafia open?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Ooh.
It's a good question, but one reason I'm prepared to stay inside is that I can't wear all 3 JCC shirts at the same time outdoors. That looks funny.
I think that there's a special. It's like a papal dispensation from the chief rabbis to wear as many JCC T-shirts as necessary. And by the way, they make a good mask. If you need to cut one up, Benji, to protect yourself and your airways, I will send you a new one.
The only reason that's acceptable is for pikuach nefesh.
Exactly. Now, as you mentioned, the Jewish Culture Festival, which you refer to as the Jewish Culture and Art Festival, is canceled this year, very sadly, here in Krakow. They announced it last week. And you are also aware of Ride for the Living, the big bicycle ride, our signature event at JCC Krakow, which you are hoping someday to do. I know you have back problems, but do you think there's a chance if the ride goes on this year, even if it's in a smaller sense than it was supposed to be, of course, because of the situation in the world, will you possibly be joining this year or in the future Ride for the Living?
Definitely in the future. You know what? I would have whined like a neurotic Jew and said, my back. But as you know, my back has been improved in the last few months, which is dramatic news for me. It's possible. I mean, last year, the biggest problem would have been my back. Now it'll be good old-fashioned out-of-shapeness and a lack of endurance. But if I can come, I would love to do it.
So you're going old school, not with the more contemporary back problems, but you're going back to just general out of shape.
Yes, I am getting fat. I am not flattening the curve. This curve is growing, baby.
Well, we have the Ride for the Living jerseys, Benji, come in all different sizes. And if you're excited about a Ride for the Living t-shirt, just think about a t-shirt with Lycra and pockets on the back.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I forgot. I actually have a fourth JCC t-shirt. You gave me a Ride for the Living one, but it had Auschwitz on it, so I didn't feel comfortable watching it around.
You didn't want to advertise Auschwitz walking around Yaffo?
I felt funny. I'm a neurotic Jew. I'm self-conscious.
Well, I think neurotic and Jew is somewhat oxymoronic. Redundant, not oxymoronic. Thank you. So, well, Benji, I was going to say, do you want to plug anything coming up that you have coming up? But none of us really have anything coming up, do we?
Incredibly, I have had a fair number of online stand-up shows in the last few weeks, and online stand-up is a horrible thing that should never be attempted, except during a pandemic, so I may be advertising a few more for the public. I may do some more from my living room. And hey, it's still Passover. I had a nice video, which has gotten over 50,000 views on Facebook, and a few more thousand on YouTube. It's a Passover tale just for this year, and check it out. You'll definitely smile.
Well, I can say that we posted it as a JCC. I think I also posted it personally. It's absolutely wonderful. If you haven't seen it, we're going to put it here in the chat, and we posted it as well today, I think, as a reminder. And you did an amazing job with that, Benji. And hopefully life will get back to normal soon for you and for all of us. Stay safe. Stay funny. Keep cool. Keep cool. Get in shape for the ride. Zayabista. Have a Zayabista day, Benji.
You too. Take care. Bye, Kasha.
Bye.
Be well. Bye, Benji. Thank you. That was comedian Benji Lovitt, nicknamed Funny Boy by the illustrious Ruth Ellen Gruber, writer and general expert on Eastern European, Central European Jewry. During the Latka Hamantash debate, Benji was Hamantash, Ruth was Latka, and she christened him, or maybe christened is the wrong term here, called him Funny Boy, which hopefully will stick with him for the rest of his life. Suellen Kadis, maybe we should all share photos of ourselves, JCC t-shirts around the world, pick a day. Oh, right, that's something. Well, when did we just miss St. Patrick's Day? The green would have been good for St. Patrick's Day. We can pick a different day, maybe whenever you guys want. We can all wear our JCC t-shirts. I was sort of hoping that everyone's wearing a JCC day, as Benji does. We have to send him an emergency supply of new t-shirts because he's not able to wear them. Hamantash forever. Benji, I'm sorry, Benji, it's already over. I don't know if it's politically religious correct to plug Hamantashen during Pesach. And that's one thing that we should mention always in the Latka Hamantashen debate, that one of them is kosher for Passover and one of them isn't. So no talking about Hamantashen during the holidays. Pick a day. Every day. Benji says every day is green is JCC T-shirt day. So Benji is very helpful with that. I see Slavek Greenberg from checking in. Slavek Lori from Philadelphia. Laura Silver from Brooklyn. We have people all over as usual. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Or else, let's see what else. We have some old questions here that we did not get to. What's your go-to queen exercise routine? Well, I think, listen, for all of us, we're going a little bit crazy, stuck indoors. Some of us, walking the dog is a very good exercise. If you have a dog, I suggest you walk the dog. We've been taking the dog on long walks. We try to go late at night for the longer walks so there aren't many people around. Kasha and I have gotten to know Krakow, places that we haven't seen in Krakow, with going with our dog. Of course, those of you who know our dog realize that once we go there with the dog, we're never welcome back in those places. We have a difficult dog, very sweet but difficult. Next question: what delicious stuff has Kasha been making recently? Well, Kasha, you want to jump in and tell us what delicious stuff that you've been cooking recently? As many of you know, Kasha is the chef here at the JCC, and I told you before that the irony of me, who's the world's worst eater, living with a wonderful chef, but that is true, and I do try to eat what she cooks. She's a great cook. I just am very picky. So what have you been making lately that's interesting, Kasha?
Yesterday I made the matzah balls and vegetarian chicken soup, and it was good.
Was that really vegetarian?
Yes, really.
All right.
I think it was really good. Yeah? The matzah balls was soft, good.
Fluffy and good.
Good.
I have a trauma about people putting things in my food. When I was a little kid, I refused to eat anything, which hasn't changed that much. And my mom used to put egg. She would put like raw egg in my chocolate milk.
Oh, no.
And I would say, Ma, you didn't put it in this time, right? You didn't. She'd, no. I didn't, I promise. And I'd be drinking the chocolate milk, glug, 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 and I would catch something in my throat, and it was raw egg when I was like a 10-year-old kid, and it really, really traumatized me. As many things did. I carry that along with other a lot of emotional baggage to this day. But it's hard for me. I'm always when I go to a restaurant, and especially now as a vegetarian, I'm not very trusting. I'm always poking around at this food. If I have soup, I look to see what's in it and make sure there's no meat hanging around in the soup, which often I have to say, not to say often, but a few times there has been. You go and get something vegetarian and it's very disappointing, and you find something. It used to be, Krakow has gotten a lot better, the restaurants, and from the vegetarian point of view, it's much easier to be a vegetarian than it used to be. I'm guessing that's really the case in most places that I visited for sure. But it used to be the case, 15 years ago, that you would say to somebody, oh, this is vegetarian? They'd say, yes, vegetarian. You say, there's no meat in it? No meat in it at all. You say, anything to do with meat? No, absolutely. They're like, oh, of course it's made with chicken broth, but that doesn't count. So it really used to be that unless there was like a giant piece of ham sitting in your food, that they didn't really treat it as vegetarian. But Krakow has gotten much better with that. And Benji, who's jumped on the Facebook chat, on the last trip to Las Vegas, Rabbi Shudrick put a raw egg in his mojito. I didn't realize you and Rabbi Shudrick, a few things. I didn't realize that you and Rabbi Shudrick had been to Vegas together. And I didn't know that he was putting raw eggs in people's mojitos. Well, Rabbi Shudrick, because it's Yom Tov, as we all know, Rabbi Shudrick not here to defend himself. I hope that egg was inspected, though. As we all know, for an egg to be kosher, we have to make sure that it has no little embryo in it. Exactly. So I hope that he checked it before he put it in your mojito. Benji Lovitt. One of the things that I said I was going to talk about is, would my father be upset about my Yom Tov broadcast? Absolutely, he would be. When I told my father, I spoke to him before Pesach, before Yom Tov, and I told him that we're doing an online Seder. He said, "Oh, you're not doing a Seder?" Of course. I said, "No, we're doing an online Seder." And he was like, "Oh, but you can't do that. You can't do that." And I'm like, "No, yes, actually, we are doing that." So despite the fact that I am 50 years old, I wanted to say almost 50 years old, but I actually am 50 years old, so I can't get away with the almost 50-year-old comment anymore. Despite the fact that I'm 50 years old, my father, who there are certain things he's aware of and certain things he's not that aware of, but one of the things he's incredibly mindful of is everybody in my family's level of religious observance. And I think that he, when I was a kid, he didn't really accept my non-religious lifestyle, and I'm proud to say that he is nothing if not persistent, because as someone who's 50 years old, he is still incredibly concerned with my day-to-day religious observance level. So with that little bit of personal therapy, I'm going to get ready to close. I am going to wish you all an incredibly happy Pesach, a Chag Sameach. I hope you're all doing well, exercising, staying safe, protecting yourselves. If you go outside, protect yourself by trying to maintain good habits of exercise, hygiene, what you eat. And I will see you all again here next Thursday at the same time. So Chag Sameach, be well.
Chag Sameach.
And sending love from Krakow.
Bye.